I gotta tell you the truth, folks. I gotta tell you the truth. When it comes to bullshit, big time, major league bullshit, you have to stand in awe of the all-time champion of false promises and exaggerated claims, religion. No contest. No contest.
I am born under a celestial dictatorship which I could not have had any hand in choosing. I don't put myself under its government. I am told that it can watch me while I sleep. I'm told that it can convict me of, here's the definition of totalitarianism, thought crime. For what I think, I may be convicted.
Belief in something without evidence. Because if you believe something without evidence, then that justifies anything. You're no longer vulnerable to somebody coming back at you and saying, hang on a minute, let me argue the case. If you believe it without evidence, which is what faith is, then you don't argue the case. You say, no, I'm not arguing that case. This is my faith. It's mine. It's private. I don't dissent from it. I don't retreat from it. You're just going to have to accept it. Now that is evil.
Ethical principles can be summed up undoubtedly as a visible, inadmissible ignorance of our mortality. In actuality, humans are living cowardly in constant fear of death. In retrospect, we're living flowerly, blooming in a nature wishing God could overpower me. But the feeling of a divine nature can never shower me. As much as I agree with the principles of deities that we should never harm another innocent intentionally, it's clear to me that I will never take a knee and pray to someone higher up than me. There's remarkable homogeneity between this fucking God and me. This godly illusion has been bruising those accused of sin, and this abusive nature of intrusion through delusion of an invisible man who said to set the standards of every man. But I'm not every man, I'd like to think that I am more than that. Don't get caught up in confusion, I'm not disputing the conclusions. A ritual ablution brings about to clean pollution away. All I'm saying is that this fucking institution is abusive to resolution. We need to start a revolution, like Martin Luther was doing, but take into account the existence of evolution. That is the retribution we should be seeking, but still we're stuck in evolution. The circle causes contusions that can't be seen by those who are slaves to the machine. We need to stop feeding the gasoline and start thinking like a libertine with standards like the golden mean. They're addicted to the evergreen promises of salvation. The word of God is made from amphetamines. Fuck his regime. If I could reach him in his kingdom like a Mexican jumping bean, I would ask him why the violence is a part of his plan. Why owning slaves was still okay when they weren't the white man. Why man can't marry a man in his eyes. Why the Klan takes such an interest in his vices. Do you see what I'm saying? Fuck. The institution of religion was created by primitive divisions of traditional people who thought that change was an initiative for people to be cognitive of how the powerful were provocative, of equal distribution to the world, so they prohibited sin. And when people got inquisitive, they wrote a type of syllabus that instructed everybody in a certain way of how to live. It's almost criminal and cynical that we believe all of this biblical, mythical, and mystical nonsense by people who are minimally gifted in the art of being visible to the world around us. So they started all these principles commanding to make amends and not be critical of God's hypocritical, satirical, parasitical, apocalyptical work of fiction, so that the system of political dominance could stay invincible but also stay invisible. Cause nobody was equivocal, cause everyone's afraid of that, so we were never hypercritical. That's why we're never literal. When Copernicus heard of this, then they discovered that the churches were worthless when it comes to the discovery of science. It is furthest, and it curses anyone who thinks that the sun is the center of the universe. They said the earth is. And then they locked up Galileo for preaching his versions of sermons, even though we're certain he was right in his search. I just can't conform to the thought of an organization who breeds the hate of certain people through ignorant incantations of damnation and adoration, through manipulation of entire fucking nations, the exploitation of human imagination, that their evil ways are cured through forced forms of donation. So they give away their wealth without a hint of hesitation, because the implications suggest they will experience salvation, but in reality it's just a genius form of tax evasion. Cause the church's purse is filled with no limitation. The misinformation that's spread like pollination is insane. A proclamation by God is just public propagation of speculation by officials who have no care for vindication. All they seek is accumulation of glorification of their own self-worth. Have a funeral in my house, put them in the hearse. I seek the annihilation of the entire association, assassination and assimilation to self-asphyxiation. They've been choking us for years. They should feel the incarceration. The only genesis I've needed for inspiration with Domo and Phil Collins.